Matilda.
Oh, it's so good to see you.
It is, yeah.
It's been forever. Hello everyone, welcome to Julia and Matilda's Greatest Knits. We're two friends who knit together in Amsterdam, and we're here today to talk a little bit about that with you. We will be discussing what it is we've been making. We'll talk about a fantasy knit, what we would have been making. We will talk a little bit about what's been inspiring us, and we will discuss our favourite three, and we'll reveal that a little bit later in the show. But thank you for joining us. And Julia, tell me what it is you have been working on.
I wanted to make mittens, and I thought it would be nice to make one model and then, one shape, but then create different patterns that you can work throughout this one shape. And
so you've been on a little bit of a mitten odyssey.
Yeah.
Because...
Well, I really like, once I get going, I mean, a mitten is just really too small a project for me. So and it's a canvas on which you can draw different designs.
Yeah.
And once you've got the amount of stitches, you can, and the kind of repeat, the stitch repeat, you know how many stitches you have to shape a pattern, then you can just experiment.
Go crazy.
I love that. And this one is from Westwool, because I got some yarn from Westwool. They've got new colors.
Yes.
And this is the bicycle, the fingering weight version that they have.
Yeah, and now that it comes in the 50-gram skeins.
Yeah, and that's perfect because you only need you don't need for all these colors 100 grams. You can just have, and you can also do it from scrap yarn, and maybe you still have some older Westwool colors. I had some older Westwool colors which I blended in. I don't know which one. Oh yeah, the green, the grass green.
Yeah,
and I also especially designed this for their colors, because they have this really bright color palette, good saturated colors, and that is always nice to combine with more subtle colors. Beep. So then I really like combining, like you have a bright yellow, but then for the sun you use a really powdery blue. I love playing with that. Yeah, and it's just the same shape but different pattern repeat. And that's untested now, and I think that will be out pretty soon. So I knit the sweater that you are wearing,
and a lovely piece it is.
It looks really nice on you.
Thanks.
Yes, the red is really good for
my hair.
Yeah. I met Laxtons, the spinnery from the UK, and they asked me if I wanted to work something with their yarn. So I made this sweater, which is with a traceable yarn.
Very nice.
And I call it Solaire because it's kind of like a radiate, like a sun, like you have this
solar radiating.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But I still have to do the test knitting with this. So there's going to be a test knit out soon. Then test knitting at the moment, we are working on the Quilted. So that's a quilted lattice stitch, and it makes this really funny, if you knit it in two colors, it makes this really funny net-like layer on top of the fabric. It's also like a circular yoke sweater, and this one is knit with mYak.
Yeah, it's got that drapey.
It's super nice yarn. Yeah. It's very warm and drapey and really soft. I think it's softer than cashmere.
Yeah.
And it's from the Tibetan yak shepherds that they work with. So it's really good yarn. You also support local flocks and the income of these shepherds. So I've done that already before with the yarn. I really like mYak.
Yeah.
And then I made, just for fun, I made this sleeveless version of the Preppy cardigan.
Love it.
It's too strands from Isager, one the bouclé and the other one is Eco Soft, I think it's called.
Oh, yes. It's much thicker, huh?
Yeah. So it's also thicker than the original, but you could make a cardigan from my Preppy with this two strands held double.
The Eco Soft, you could also sub something like the Karma Rose Sniff Nug.
Yeah, really well.
Yummy.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I also have really good colors.
Yeah.
And you could even do the EcoSoft held single for that pattern of mine. And there's lots of different alpaca fluffy yarns now, the chunkier ones that you could just substitute.
Gorgeous. But I love the detail with the I-cord and on the button band, how you've just got the little I-cord loopies.
So there's an I-cord edge here just along with sock yarn with the one that I used for the color. And I just picked up the stitches here and wherever there's how do you say, like a buttonhole?
Yeah.
I just skipped those rows when I picked up the stitches.
Ideal.
Yeah,
it looks really so neat.
It's so neat, such a simple technique. So that was really fun. And then
I haven't been knitting very much. I think having a toddler has sucked up most of my creative time. But I have been focusing on getting some of my existing knits back ready for a new winter season, because winter is definitely has arrived. It's here.
Yeah.
It's cold and rainy, and my favorite Julia Wilkens design, the Matilda sweater. Oh, I've got an inside-out sleeve. The Matilda sweater. This one, which I think you guys have seen on me many times because I wear it a lot.
So I really, really like the colors you picked.
I love the colors I picked too. And the body yarn that I used is Durerum Natura Ulysses, which is one of my all-time favorite yarns. But it is not the most robust of spins because it's a woolen spun yarn.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
and
it's not
for forever. And I wore a big hole in the sleeve, so I have just been, I'm going to do a close-up. I've been doing a little repair work on that sleeve, which is nearly ready to make its debut again, probably tomorrow, I think. That's the plan.
Mm-hmm. You know, what I like about mending is especially when it gets a bit wobbly.
Yeah, I love taking the time to fix my clothes. I think that's one of my favorite things about being a crafter, is showing a little bit of extra love to the things that I really care about in my wardrobe, and having a little bit of extra wobbly hand done stitches makes me very happy. So I think it's a crown to every garment, because it shows it's so treasured and loved and worn often. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Yeah. So besides mending my clothes, it's been not a lot of knitting, not a lot of crafting in general, and just chasing a small crazy person around my house. And trying to stop her getting into anything too dangerous.
Well, there's a time for everything.
Yeah, it's a season.
And you need some energy also, and really
creative energy,
time, space in your head, and
it will come again
for sure.
I'm not too worried.
No, it's always something you can fall back on.
Exactly. But that means I've had plenty of time to fantasize. If I didn't have a small mYak to run around after, what I would be knitting. And I think because it has been this funny transition weather, getting colder, but still, we've just turned the heat on inside, and sometimes that takes you by surprise. I think I want a nice light layering sweater. And I've got my eye on the Ghost Whisperer by Park Williams, and it's beautiful, puff sleeved. You could do it with lace weight silk mohair, or maybe a lace weight alpaca. Any of those sort of yummy, thin fluffy yarns.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cool thing is that it's still gonna be really warm. I love that about mohair or alpaca.
Yeah, traps
Yeah,
all the
it's really great, and that it's so lightweight.
Yeah,
I really love it.
yeah, exactly. How about you?
Good plan.
If you were not living the life you're living right now?
Yeah, I've had my eye on a sweater called Camélia sweater by Soumine KIM, and she is on Instagram. She knits Pour Moi, and it's a really nice stranded colorwork sweater. I think it's a raglan with kind of like beautiful rusty flowers repeats.
Yep.
And it has a bit of a 70s vibe, and this is really, I think it's super fun to knit also.
Yeah.
And again, one of these sweaters that you would really treasure in your wardrobe.
I think colorwork is like that, right?
Yeah. It's really, so that would be something I would be knitting. Well, maybe
One day.
Which brings us to our favorite feed, and it's something that inspires us, feeds us. Can be an Instagram feed, but it can also be a book or a film or anything.
Yeah.
What's yours at the moment?
I have been spending plenty of time scrolling on my phone. Refer back to aforementioned toddler and being robbed of all my sanity. And I came across a knitwear and machine knitter, Helen K Knitwear, sorry. She's also used to go by the Knit Kid, and she does really awesome stitch pattern, kind of very inspiring. Sometimes a little bit of like Missoni vibes in that it's like lots and lots of colour, really interesting things going on with machine knitting, which I haven't played around very, very much with at all, and I think you've played a little bit with machine knitting.
Yeah, a little bit, but not enough. I always think it's just still something to figure out.
Yeah. Anyway, Helen is doing her master's degree in knitwear or textile, and she has a Patreon, and I think my Christmas present to myself this year is going to be to sign up for her Patreon, because you get, she goes deep dive into a few different really interesting looking stitch techniques each month. And
nice.
Yeah, and I love supporting a independent fibre artist who's trying to pay their way through school.
Yeah.
So that's what I think how I'm going to treat myself this year.
That's a good plan. That's a nice present.
Yeah.
Which is quite relates to my favorite feed.
Yeah.
I think it's something that I've always followed, but I never mentioned it here, and I thought it's time that I do, because I always watch the new episodes of Fruity Knitting.
Yeah. Okay.
And because I think it's something we take so much for granted, and I don't know. This month we all received the news that Pour Moi magazine is stopping, and I thought, have I supported them enough? It's something you take for granted, and then when they leave, you realize how important a role they play. And Fruity Knitting is definitely. I really like that they put so much effort in filming these episodes and interviewing. All the pattern designers, and if you go into their history on YouTube, it's just amazing to whom they already talked to. So
huge archive.
Yeah, it's a really great archive. So I support them by Patreon also.
Yeah, I think it's a nice thing to do.
Yeah, but apart from that, I think what's maybe even more important is to have like really personal feeding relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So I have this group of two friends. They're colleagues. They're also knitting pattern designers, and we get together on Zoom every couple of weeks and have a chat. We've had like 2 or 3 now, and it's been really, really interesting, because you can share experiences and you can ask each other for advice, and they're really supportive of what I'm doing. We're supporting each other, because it's a you're working on your own. You're dealing with very specific problems and challenges, and yeah, I think that's gives me a lot of energy. So
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I'm not really a designer, but I imagine it's sort of often a bit of a lonely.
Yeah, and you have to
existence.
It's really, I mean, one of the just to mention one, but one of the really weird things is sometimes you're dealing with a deadline. If you've submitted something to a magazine, and then it takes, if you've met that deadline with a test knit and everything, and then it takes months until that pattern is released.
Yeah.
And you have all these test knitters who did the work for you and tested it, and they're not allowed to show it on anywhere on social media until the release day. So that's just a small thing that, you know,
it's hard to work through.
Yeah. It's just it's nice to have somebody to talk about these
who
things.
understands.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So no, that's really nice.
So then our favorite 3, and we were preparing for the podcast, and I had my Notions tin out, madly finishing off the little repair. And I thought, Julia, what do you keep in your Notions pouch? What are your top 3 essential tools?
Yeah, because that's also one of these things that you take for granted, but after it's here. After I've been inspired by your own Notions pouch.
Oh,
so I remember years ago that you showed yours, and it was really small. You had a really small.
I've upgraded a little bit since then.
Yeah, but the benefit is that it fits into everything. Yeah, and it holds the essentials. So I have this tiny pouch. It's also very cute.
Oh,
it's like a little mouse,
and then it has sweetie
zipper, and then it holds most of what I use, like nearly every time I knit.
Oh.
And what does it hold? It holds a tiny scissor.
Oh, there.
In the form of a little bird.
Yeah.
Cute, yeah? And then it holds a blunt darning needle.
Yes.
I'm a blunt darning needle person.
Yeah.
It's like cat and dogs. Some other.
I like a sharp one.
Sharp one, see? Yeah, it's like.
I'll use a blunt one if that's all I can find, but I prefer sharp.
Yeah, that's exactly the opposite for me.
Well, we can split the pack.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so that of course. And I sometimes, especially with these mittens, I sew in the ends while I'm already working on it.
Good
just because it makes me feel better about it.
Super accomplished.
Yeah, and then I have this needle gauge, because while I work on something, I really very often change the needles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So for example, with this one, this has a really tight pattern repeat, small pattern repeat, and so in the which makes a really nice insulated layer on side.
Yes.
But it uses a different needle than this one. So and that's something I switched to a different needle then.
Yeah.
And I do that a lot. I really want to have the perfect gauge, and not in terms of meeting a pattern, but just the way the fabric feels. Yeah. If it gets too loose, it's gonna look really sloppy and not so nice. And this gauge measure, it's from Undercover Otter. It's so cool. It's a little skull with the tiny numbers on it, and it makes me happy every time I use it.
Good. I think that is so important with a tool, is that if you can find the tool that makes you happy to use it, ideal.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So my tools of choice.
I'm going to go straight up to the front because I don't think you're going to see anything.
Yeah.
I said that my case has gotten a little bit bigger, and it's a metal. I think it was an in-flight cocktail kit, actually. You got like
fancy flight.
Yes, it was. Well, no, we bought it outside of the airport, and then when we were travelling to the Netherlands, we made ourselves a little old-fashioned. So you get like the whiskey in the drink service. And then it has the sugar and the bitters and a stirry spoon and a little napkin and things like that. It was very sweet. And it just makes your flight a little bit more fun.
Yeah,
especially
cute.
if it's a long haul.
That's a really good knitting tool.
But I will come up. I have 3 tools that I love. The first is a coilless safety pin or safety pin stitch markers. I love them for stitch markers, obviously, but also for holding on to dropped stitches or loose, little loose guys. And I prefer them to also for counting stitches or like decreases or increases on a sleeve. I'll always use the coilless safety pins, and they're cheap, that's nice as well. I always have a spare set of DPNs in my, usually in my knitting bag. They don't fit into my pouch or my tin. And then the last thing is a little nail file, because there's nothing I hate more than having snaggy fingernails and getting them caught. So yeah, those are my favourite 3 tools, and they just do the job for me. They get it done.
Yeah, important small little things that make you happy while you're knitting.
Absolutely. Well, that's today's show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you all for watching and following us. Share your thoughts. Love hearing from you.
Yeah, we do.
See you next time.
We'll see you next time. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
Da 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 da.